Okay, I'm Hannah Furling. This is for EDUC 383, Writing Strategies and Methods. This is for the Striving to Thriving Writer's Lesson and Reflection. And today's date is February 22nd of 2025. So the strategy is the then and now charting change. So basically, we're going to look at life. How has your life changed since you've entered high school? Take a look at that change and like what's around you. Has what around you changed the things in your life? So we're gonna do activities called take a look. So take a look around you and see what has changed. Has anything changed in the last few days, weeks, months, years? What has changed in your life since you entered the high school world? Was it a slow or fast change? Kind of jot down a couple things and then we'll discuss in a couple minutes. So this could be like the introduction alone could be altered to, instead of having them look at when they entered high school, instead of having them look at like when they were from like specific dates, or from this month to this month, or like this from like sixth grade to fifth, sixth to eighth grade, instead of just like their entire high school career, because sometimes that can be overwhelming for some of the struggling students. So change around my life when I was in high school. It's kind of hard to remember considering I haven't been in high school for that long. But it definitely changed a lot when I went to college. I started on campus before I was switching to online. And so, like, after I graduated high school, it went from having that summer to suddenly being a home, like away from home, off on campus, like not being able to just like drive a couple miles down the road and being able to talk to my family. They were like a couple hours away. So that was a big change for me. And that ended up being a big change that I couldn't put up with, which is why I kind of went with the online one. As I could deal with online classes better than being on campus and being this far away from home. And so it kind of started out slow and then kind of switched to like that fast change. Like it started out slow and then it was kind of like everything's changing all at once, as I'm no longer in high school. Now I'm suddenly in college and responsible for everything all on my own. Um, it wasn't really stuff around me that had changed who I was, I guess. I mean, stuff around me certainly changed. I mean, I went from childhood bedroom to college dorm, which was pretty beat up after the amount of people who have stayed in that dorm. So, okay, so the poem for this is it's from the textbook, the Striving to Thriving Writer's book. It is Then and Now by Michael Slanger. You can print this out and give a copy to the students that struggle with having looking at screens for too much, or needing that physical copy to be able to look up closer, or having it in a different language so they can have that translation. Um, so it reads, I used to be an only child, now I'm an older brother. I used to eat only plain cheese pizza, now I like mushrooms and sausage. I used to swim with floats, now I dive underwater. My favorite thing about school is recess. Okay, so discussion. Now that we've read the first version of this poem, think about the questions. Is there a pattern? If there was, what is that pattern? And does the author repeat any words? What happens at the end, and then what does that do? Like, what does the ending do to the pattern? Um, and there will be a second version of the poem. So with this discussion piece, I mean, the pattern that I see is he's talking a lot about like changes he's done after like no longer being an only child and now having a younger sibling and being the older brother and thinking that he has to be the role model of like, oh, can't only have cheese pizza, we gotta have other toppings on there. Can't swim with floats anymore, I need to be able to dive underwater. Um, he uses the word I a lot and used to. Like he says I used to be or I used to eat, I used to swim, or I am an older, I dive underwater. So so the activity for this is like think about when you were little to now and what has changed. Like what did you do for entertainment? What foods did you like? What books did you like? So use a sheet of paper and write down two paragraphs. One paragraph will be about what you liked when you were little, and then one paragraph will be like what you liked about now. And then kind of in that second paragraph of like what you like now, describe some of those changes. Like say if entertainment for you when you were little was Barney and it's not anymore. Say, yeah, I noticed that this is a change. Something like that. Um, this could be changed to from your little to last week. Some people can change within a week. Um, it can be like the timeline from little to now or then and now can be kind of changed around a little bit, especially for those struggling students that need like a little bit more definition of when. So instead of saying like little, because that can be like, oh, when you were a baby or like a little kid in elementary school or middle school. Um, so kind of giving them a little bit more details into that would help them out a little bit more. So my example with this activity would be that when I was little, I ended up watching whatever cartoons we had. We didn't really have cable, and I ended up having to watch my brother's cartoons. I was the youngest of three at my mom's house, so as I had um, split parents, so whatever my brothers were watching, because they usually got to the remote before I did, whatever my brothers were watching, I kind of had to watch. Um, and now I I watch some of like the old shows that we used to when we were little, but sometimes it's just like nostalgia reasons. And because now we have a 7 month old baby in the family now too. And then foods I liked when I was little were like very specific. Like I hated tomatoes when I was little, but now I'm like I don't mind them. And like when I was little, I like loved ketchup on everything, and now I can eat ketchup, but if I smell ketchup, I can't eat it. Um, my it's hard to describe books for me because I tend to read a lot of books. So when I was little, it's kind of more like those children's books, and then as I grew up, the books kind of grew up with me. So now it's just like the more like YA adult kind of books, but sometimes I was tossing a few of those kids' books because I do read to my niece. So okay, so now we have the second version. You can also print this out, and I think if I were to use this one, I would change like the colors of like what was added or changed just to see that visually to help those students out as well. So the new version is I used to be an only child who got all my parents' attention. Now I'm an older brother and who has to babysit. I used to eat only plain cheese pizza and spat out the other toppings. Now I like mushroom and sausage, just like my dad. I used to swim with floats and was afraid to go underwater. Now I dive and swim on my own. My favorite subject is recess. So, after reading the second version of the poem, think about this question. Um, what has the author done to strengthen his writing? Um, so, the only thing that I would do differently with this one would be kind of like adding a little bit more to my discussion piece because I want to add a little bit more information to that one because that question is not very descriptive. It's like, what has the author done to strengthen his writing? But like if you haven't gone over what strengthening your writing is, they might not know what strengthening writing means. So I would definitely want to go over that what strengthening writing would be and kind of touch base on like yeah, like what words or details did he add to kind of strengthen the argument or kind of describe the change from the first version to the second version? Like what describing words did he add? Something like that. So for this, I'd be that like he added in those extra words like he only ate the cheese pizza and he spat out the other toppings. So now and so now he's starting to like the mushroom and sausages because he can't spit them out anymore. He's got to be the big role model to this younger sibling and he doesn't want to be the one to teach them, oh, it's okay to spit out the toppings on this pizza. Um, he was afraid to go underwater and now he's starting to learn how to dive and like swim on their own and like go underneath that water. Um and showing like it can be an adjustment from being an only child to suddenly there being another one and not having all that like attention that you were having when you were the only child. Like that was something that my brothers had to adjust to when I came around. Like they were used to that it was just them two and then I came. Pretty sure my brother just wanted to leave me at the hospital. So activity would be so go back to like the paragraphs that we had from before and then see where you can add some more details. You can use colors, senses, numbers, um, and then kind of see like did any of your ideas drop or fall from your writing, or did you need to replace anything, and just kind of strengthen your own writing. Um, this activity, it would have to be changed for the struggling writers. I just wasn't able to figure out how I would change it to fit them without fully changing it for the entire class. So I think for my struggling students, I think I would just have them, like, if they can add more details, like, add in those more details, but have them use, like, a different color when adding in the more details so you can kind of see them add in the different details. And so that they can see visually, like, what they did. And then if they had to, like, drop an idea or, like, had, like, an idea fall from their writing, kind of just have them cross it out in a color so that they could see like, oh, like this idea is like not relevant anymore. And I can help them see like the progression of like where the paragraph's gonna be taken. And like if they're replacing something in a paragraph, like and so like have them cross off what they're replacing and then write in what they're replacing it with. So like kind of having different ways to do it so they could know what it will look like in the end, I guess, and kind of know where these paragraphs are going to end up in the end. So they don't have just this misdirection.